Good evening and welcome to the worst week of Donald Trump's life so far. Donald Trump's best hope of a get-out-of-jail-free card was Joe Biden losing the presidential campaign. Joe Biden is not losing the presidential campaign. No one knows what will happen in November, but the Biden re-election campaign is fired up and on offense. Joe Biden forcefully answered the pundits who say he is too old in his State of the Union last night. 32 million potential voters watched his speech, likely the biggest audience either presidential candidate will command before the conventions. The campaign announced it is rolling out a new $30 million TV ad blitz. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will visit all 6 battleground states this month, starting today.
My lifetime has taught me to embrace the future. I mean it sincerely: freedom, democracy, a future based on the core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, fairness, equality, just treating people just fairly. No, I really mean it. We don't always live up, but that's the American creed. Donald Trump sees the story differently. He sees a story of resentment, revenge, retribution.
I ask today, Arizona, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we trust women? Do we believe in reproductive freedom? Do we believe in the promise of America? Are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win.
Joe Biden has a professional campaign operation. Joe Biden has the pomp and power of the presidency at his disposal. Joe Biden has money to spend on being reelected. And Donald Trump? Donald Trump watched every minute of the president's State of the Union. You know that because he was ranting all night on his janky social media site, including, "He's so angry and crazy." Okay, old man, settle down. Donald Trump is angry about President Biden's speech, which the Biden campaign felt so good about, it immediately turned it into an ad.
I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. The issue facing our nation isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. I see a future where defending democracy, we don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, where the middle class finally has a fair shot, and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America.
Donald Trump is angry because of these reviews. In-your-face Biden takes on Trump and his own doubters. State of the Union shows there's life in the old boy yet. Biden electrifies Democrats, spars with Republicans in fiery State of the Union address. Biden silences the doubters. And so much for Sleepy Joe. Jonathan Alter, who has questioned whether Biden should run again, said today, quote, "Biden proved that he has the strength, endurance, and mental agility to be an effective president. The president didn't just clear the senility bar, he demolished it." And here are the most important reviews. Voters in battleground states.
Got a little pep in his step. You know, the old school joking around Biden was there, and it was good to see that he is ready for this election.
He clearly is totally with it.
I just thought he nailed it. I saw energy, and I loved his ad-libbing. I just thought he punched back. like he should have.
He was powerful. He got his point across, and he's doing a good job.
He stood strong. He looked like a president. And that's what we needed.
I thought that Joe Biden, Uncle Joe as I like to call him, came off very vivacious, which was important to him and important to everybody.
I think President Biden delivered the strongest speech of his that I might have ever seen. He came out swinging, and he did not hold back, and I couldn't disagree with almost anything that he said. I would rather have a president with 81 years behind him than 91 counts ahead of him.
I thought that Joe Biden was absolutely amazing. He stood up for himself, he stood up for decency, honesty, and for the American public. He was great.
Super energetic, stayed organized, kept delivering punch after punch, saying things that I wanted to hear him say without being, too combative.
He delivered. He showed that his age is not going to be an issue for him. He has the mental capacity to engage anyone and answer questions on the spot.
I think he did a great job. He made his point. He got across to a lot of people. I think he did a great job. I really do.
He might be a little elderly, but he's sane and he's a kind man. The other one, he is old. He's old too, but he's crazy and dangerous.
Donald Trump is finally being hoisted by his own petard. It will be pretty hard for the reality TV persona who shoved himself in Americans' faces for decades, including every tweet during his 4 years in office, to convince voters he's something else. And if the humiliation of President Biden's successful State of the Union wasn't enough today, Donald Trump finally had to pay. He posted a nearly $92 million bond for lying about sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll. That is Donald Trump being punished. That is Donald Trump being held accountable. That is Donald Trump being bound by the law like everyone else. Yes, it's a bond and he's in the process of appealing, but it marks the end of Trump's effort to delay, deny, and try to break the system to evade justice. And it's only the beginning. Just 17 days from today, the civil fraud judgment of $454 million plus interest comes due, coincidentally, perhaps poetically, the same day as his criminal trial is scheduled to start in New York. Donald Trump is showing voters he is angry and crazy every day. He is grubbing for money under the weight of civil judgments. And he just installed his daughter-in-law as the head of the Republicans' National Campaign Committee. 241 days until Election Day. Today was a very bad day for Donald Trump. But there are almost certainly worse days for him ahead.
When I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service.
Last night, during his State of the Union, President Biden pointed to yet another campaign promise he's delivered on. His latest effort to reduce student debt includes a $1.2 billion plan giving relief to 150,000 Americans. The plan will wipe out loans worth up to $12,000 for those who've been making payments for at least a decade. The president's been quietly working to provide rounds of debt relief after the Supreme Court's conservative majority struck down his original plan for giving $400 billion in student loan debt for more than 40 million Americans. Our next guest, Jessica St. Paul, a physician's assistant and community college educator, calls the loan forgiveness granted to her by President Biden, quote, life-changing. After taking out $95,000 in loans for college and then both a master's and a PhD, her balance ballooned to nearly $150,000. Now she owes nothing. Working for more than 25 years on a public servant's salary, Jessica says her loan payments reached $1,200 a month. She says that kept her from starting a family, buying a home, and saving for retirement. Her debt now forgiven, she's continuing her passion for public service and encouraging others to do the same in their schools and communities. Jessica St. Paul introduced President Biden at a recent event advocating for student loan forgiveness in Culver City, California.
This freedom, this breathing room, is because of President Joe Biden. And just 2 weeks ago, I had my baby girl. It's a defining moment for me to live my dream of being a mom, because President Biden has the back of hardworking Americans, public servants just like me. I can invest in my retirement, secure a brighter future for my daughter. It is with great honor and gratitude to introduce to you our President, Joe Biden.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Jessica St. Paul, a physician's assistant and adjunct professor of public health at Los Angeles Southwest College. As we mentioned, she recently had nearly $150,000 of student loans forgiven. Jessica, welcome to the show. Congratulations on the new baby. We don't have time for you to show me a little picture because I usually make people show me pictures of the kids. But let's listen to more of President Biden's State of the Union address.
Such relief is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise.
So Jessica, we have a chart here showing the breakdown of the president's student debt relief and who's been helped. It's nearly $140 billion and nearly 4 million people, and that now includes you. Tell us how you found out your loan was forgiven and how it's affected your day-to-day life.
Well, actually, for me, because I've been working with the American Federation of Teachers since 2018, and just a year after when our union actually sued then Secretary DeVos for the mismanagement of public service loan forgiveness, and I saw that there are different changes for public service loan forgiveness, I knew then at that time, because of the time that I've been in public service, that my loans would be forgiven. So when I received the letter, it was an email from at that time, the loan servicer, Mohila, got the email. I didn't believe it. I had to call, had her email it to me. I then printed it out and framed it. And I knew at that moment that my loans were going to be forgiven. So all the work that we've done over the past years and having this administration relieve the public service loan forgiveness program to relieve that debt for me was just amazing. It just changed my life forever. Yes.
Jessica, what would you say to politicians who oppose this kind of debt relief?
You know, I will always say that, remember, this is a bipartisan, especially for public service loan forgiveness. This was bipartisan. It was a bipartisan Congress, you know, with George Bush. And so we're asking everyone that think about our public servants. These are our teachers, our nurses, our firefighters, you know, policemen. These are individuals who commit their life to public service. So when you're thinking about different policies, and remember these individuals who saved our lives. I mean, we're thinking about with this long-term economic impact of the pandemic and people are going out of public service. We're here to continue to serve, and we just need this opportunity for us to get the public service loan forgiveness promise that we had, which has happened under this administration, which is truly amazing and changed millions of lives of Americans.
And after everything you've been through, what's your message to those who aspire to work in public service?
You can do this. The public service loan forgiveness program has been fixed. It's no longer broken. That's why elections matter. Take the opportunity. It doesn't matter what you do. It's who you work for and where you're employed. Please continue to work in public service because we have community members who are ready for you. We know when this happened during the pandemic, this will never happen without first responders, our teachers, our educators, you know, our nurses, PAs, MDs, everyone within public service. So I say continue the service that you do, and the public service loan forgiveness promise will happen under this administration.
Jessica, since this has happened, how have you been able to treat yourself in some way, big or small, that you couldn't before your loans were forgiven?
Well, for me, it's my family. Even able to have my baby girl, I've always wanted to be a mommy. I have very amazing parents. And so for me, I've always wanted to have that legacy. And so having my daughter is the biggest thing in my life that has been able to happen. And I can still continue working in public service. So they're like, that's how you treated yourself with having a child? Yes. Having my family was a treat for me. And it's been amazing since this time. And so it's just really good that I can continue to work and continue to serve my community. So I'm just extremely happy and forever grateful.